seems like every single week when he joins us, there's something newsworthy when it comes to the Philadelphia Eagles, regardless of their 4-0 record. From ESPN, our man Adam Schefter joins us. Shefty, good morning.
What's going on?
There's nothing going on here, Shefty, ever.
Just how sports continues to be the greatest reality TV show that there is because it's real life. It's actual real life. It's not scripted. And then guys go on social media after hard-fought wins. First off, what did you make of the tweet? Before we even get to your reporting, what did you make of the tweet by A.J. Brown following a hard-fought win in a place that they have struggled a lot over the years?
Well, only A.J. Brown could fully explain what he meant by that. You tweet something like that after a game and after you win and after you get a 4-0, I think you invite a lot of scrutiny and questions as to what you meant by it. It certainly seems like he's not happy with his production or role in the offense right now. But if you look at it, you look at the tape, they targeted him 9 times. Like, it wasn't like they didn't throw him the football. They did. He's just not producing at the level to which he's accustomed. Something similar happened last year. Wasn't happy with his role, complained, and the team went on a run in the second half, and he was dynamic, and everything worked out great. So I think that it wouldn't be what I would like, but I understand why he does it, and we'll see the intended result of it this week start. I'll bet you they feed him right away this week, right away.
It's driving me nuts, though, Adam, when I hear Kevin Patullo talk about the fact that, well, we haven't figured out our identity on offense yet. They're the Super Bowl champs with arguably the best offensive toolbox that any team has in the NFL when you look at skill, talent, quarterback, offensive line. How do they not know what their identity is when they're the defending champs and almost everybody's back?
Well, they should know. I mean, we know what they are, right? I think they're a team that runs the football as well or better than anybody. I think they've got a quarterback that could beat you with his arm or his legs, and they've got the ability to beat you throwing the ball as well. Like, they're a multifaceted offense that has a lot of ways to win. It's not your typical offense. I mean, what's hard to figure out there? I don't get it.
I don't understand it either. I still can't figure it out.
Shefty, when it comes to the A.J. Brown tweet, now I want to start getting your reporting cap on. Have you heard any fallout from the tweet so far at NovaCare? And if you have not, obviously this is not the first time a wide receiver or a player on any football team had said something cryptic on social media or said something cryptic at a press conference. So what could this lead to at some point in a locker room? Because this is not the first time, as you mentioned.
I don't know that it leads to anything in a lot. I mean, everybody's got their own personalities, and people know who people. You know, by the way, A.J. Brown, honestly, is one of the most thoughtful people. Mm-hmm. One of the thoughtful players that I've encountered. Like, he's very smart and very he's the guy. Just I have found him to be highly intelligent. So there obviously is a method to his madness, and I don't know that rubs people wrong. Like, he's a superstar. He wants the ball. He wants to make his mark, and he's letting it be known. You know, players, everybody reacts differently. So just because you or I might not react that way doesn't mean he's wrong for it. That's the way that he chooses to do things. And I'm not going to argue with that. Like, the guy's been incredible.
Well, I'm going to ask you is that I know the amount of people you talk to around the NFL, and I know from the conversations that have been had about this on NFL Live and others, any speculation as to who he's talking about? Not listening to him.
No, I can honestly tell I have not spoken to a single person about that. I honestly have not. Like, you know, we're dealing in injuries on Monday. Yesterday was a day to kind of catch my breath and try on Tyreek Hill. Like, I know it's a big deal in Philly, but on my list of priorities, it was not very high up.
Okay. So, do you believe? I know it's not mandatory, but do you think the Eagles will maybe make it mandatory for A.J. Brown to address this? Because today's the day where midweek players can speak to the media. Do you believe it will be A.J. Brown Day, and do you believe the Eagles will make it be A.J. Brown Day?
Here's what I would say to that. A.J. Brown's a big boy. He can tweet what he wants and he can say what he wants. I don't think you make him do anything. If he wants to talk, he can talk. If he doesn't want to talk, he doesn't want to talk. I want to come back to the question you asked me, John. What is the theory of listeners who've called in or around that city? Who do they think he was talking
The
about?
prevailing theory is that it's Jalen Hurts. That seems to be the prevailing theory. I've heard more directed at the coaching staff not listening to his complaints. But there has been a prevailing theory of Jalen Hurts, potentially some squabble there.
I mean, but you've heard of squabbles between the two of them in the past, right? And
Correct.
They've tried to go out of their way and quash that, right or wrong, whether it's still there. I really don't know. I don't have an answer to that right now.
Okay.
But I'm just curious to know who people think he's referring, because I really don't.
We're speaking to Adam Schefter on the Comcast Biz Hotline. Shefty, last week after we had you on was when the news broke that Nolan Smith was heading to IR. It was your report that you had it. Any moment in the game specifically? I know it was the re-aggravation of the injury that he sustained during the Super Bowl. Was there a specific moment that happened? And I know you're reporting that it could be until the bye week. Is that still true in your mind?
I don't know when it happened in the game, but I do think that the target date for him to come back is the Monday night, I think it's November 10th game in Green Bay. They have a bye, and then there's a Monday night game. Am I correct on that?
There is. That's the first game back from the bye.
Yeah, that's the game that I think he thinks he'll be back for. Now, whether he is or he isn't, let's see how it heals. But he didn't need surgery. He did have surgery on that body part 3 days after the Super Bowl. So clearly not ideal to injure that same part and to be sidelined now for a little bit of time. But that's where he's at, and they think he'll be well by then. Give him that rest. November 10th, like today's October 1. So you're still talking about 41 more days. So that's 6 more weeks, basically, on top of the week he missed. So that's 7 weeks altogether. That's a little bit of a lengthy absence.
Bird's got to be pretty happy, though, with holding the tiebreaker now over the Rams, holding the tiebreaker over the Buccaneers, two of the division favorites that they would face if they're going for that number 1 seed. People having a different opinion now about the Packers. The overall NFC, how good do the Eagles look despite their struggles when you look at the total landscape of the NFC?
Well, John, they're one of 2 unbeaten teams right now. So from that standpoint, of course, you have to be happy at the quarter pole. But what I would say is I think the NFC, somewhere along the way, without people realizing it, became a tougher conference than the AFC. There are more good teams in the NFC right now, top-heavy teams in the NFC, than there are in the AFC. Right now, the AFC's got 1 unbeaten in Buffalo. The Chargers lost on Sunday. They have a loss. The Chiefs might be coming back. We'll see. The Broncos are a decent team. Ravens aren't the Ravens this year. Colts are a good team. Good team. But how many great teams, when you look at that conference today, do you feel like there are? Great teams in the AFC.
Not a lot.
Maybe 2.
Yeah.
Maybe 2, right? Maybe. And in the NFC, I could say comfortably and confidently, I feel like in that category, that elite category, or a category that is good enough to win the conference and go to the Super Bowl, I think you got the Eagles. I think you got the Lions. I think you got the Buccaneers. And I think you've got the Rams.
No.
4. Not to mention a bunch of good teams. Like the Commanders, the 49ers, the Vikings.
Packers.
Seahawks. Packers. Oh, the Packers. Yeah, by the way, they might belong in that. I'd put them in that top category, too. I would, even though they just came off that tie.
There you go.
So, okay, Eagles, Lions, Packers, Bucks, Rams. 5 very good teams in the NFC. More very good teams in the NFC today than there are in the AFC. And so Philadelphia might be the best of the bunch. They might be. But it's still 5 very good teams. So that means that if they can put away home field, and that's not going to be easy to do. But if they can do that, they're still going to have to win 2 games against 2 very good teams. If they don't get home field, it might be 3 games against 2 very good teams and a good team. It's just the NFC is a little bit more of a gauntlet this year than I think people expected or realized. It's a tougher conference this year than the AFC. At least it seems to be at this point in the season. And Philadelphia absolutely is good enough to march through it, but there's just more competition to be able to get that done.
Schefter, I have a question for you, but before I get to it, I want you to answer true or false. Do you believe Roger Goodell really values high-scoring games and highlight reel plays to help promote the sport? True or false?
I would say mildly false. Like, I think he values good football, whatever that is. Roger is close to my age, and he's a traditionalist, and he's worked in the league a long time. I don't think he cares as much about fantasy football world that a lot of people love these days.
Okay, the reason why I asked that question is it is ridiculous that guys can hit 65-yard field goals with ease.
It's become too much.
With the new rule where you can work on the K-ball throughout the week, throughout the year, and not just a little bit before the game, it changes how the game can be played. We watched McLaughlin when we were in Tampa kick a 65-yard duck. It wasn't even end over end. Like it was a wobbly kick that traveled 65 yards. Barely got over, but it got over. Is this something that you believe will continue in the NFL following this season?
Well, you know what? I don't mind it. I kind of like it, and I think it's exciting. And I think these 60-yard field goals have become the new 50-yard field goals that we used to see. It does change the strategy. In fact, we were talking about that Monday on Get Up, where we think the Packers almost ran down the clock and ran out of time because they were worried. They were trying to make sure that the Cowboys would not have any time left to get back on the field when you have Cavante Turpin returning the ball, and then you have Brandon Aubrey kicking. So, there's no reason that Cavante Turpin shouldn't have a kick return to, let's just say, the 35-yard line. And then they need one 15-yard pass to get to the logo to be able to bring on Brandon Aubrey. One 15-yard pass. Right? So,
I don't like it. I don't like it either. I'm just giving you my own personal opinion.
I hated the way the Cardinals lost Monday night. That was a great football game.
Yeah.
And then they lose because of a stupid kickoff rule.
Because it landed at the 21-yard line, which is 1 yard out of the zone, and then they make a couple plays, and then all of a sudden they win with the field goal. It's crazy, and that's why I asked you that question beforehand with Roger Goodell, because I understand that, when in doubt, bet the over.
Sure.
That's what a lot of fans like to do. They like high-scoring games, and if you keep on adding 3 points because an offensive drive can stall, but if it stalls at midfield, you still have a pretty good chance of putting points up.
Yeah, but listen, these kickers have become so good that I think it does enter into changing the strategy of the game now. It's just kind of the way that it works. I don't know what they do about that. But if it continues, again, I don't mind it. But if there are enough people like you that don't like it, maybe that'll elicit some conversation within the competition committee this offseason.
I'm going to text Rich McKay personally, and I'll see if I can get it done.
Take care of that, Johnny. I'll like it if Jake Elliott wins the Super Bowl with a 68-yard field goal. That's when I'll like it.
I'm sure you will. I guarantee you will.
Schefter, you're the man.
Thanks,
we appreciate
Adam.
the time as always. And
Thank you so much for checking out our content here on our YouTube channel. You can like and subscribe, and that way you're never going to miss anything that we've got going on right here at 97.5 The Fanatic.